Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Kozia Phillips. C News is live at noon.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed with sport.
Topping the news at this time, the Pan debacle, which began at the start of this year, continues to intensify as Trinbago announces they're taking legal action against the National Carnival Commission in light of an impasse over Panorama 2017. In a press release sent out this morning, Trinbago revealed the leave to apply for judicial review will be heard at the Hall of Justice on Thursday morning. Last month, NCC Chairman Kenny De Silva confirmed his organization would be taking control of the financial aspect of this year's Panorama show, a responsibility which was previously held by Trinbago. The NCC's move to control the financial aspect arose from several reports of financial mismanagement of funds by the Trinbago executive. The news contacted Trinbago on the matter. The body's acting president said he's tired of the games surrounding their organization. He said by law they are supposed to manage their affairs, but are being prevented from doing so by the National Carnival Commission.
1997, 1998 and beyond with regards who manages the panorama and who manages the aspect of the panorama, or not only panorama but the carnival, the various parts of the carnival. The interest group were given their respective shows to manage. Today, the gate receipts are not managed by the organization. We normally would have Panvesco. We have given the tickets to Panvesco.
He said fears of fiscal mismanagement were circumvented several years ago with the creation of Panvesco, one of their subsidiaries. It was created to deal with the financial responsibilities of Trinbago tickets, receipts, and the audit of these. Despite this, Mr. Photo says their decision regarding prices for admission to Pan has been ignored by the National Carnival Commission.
350 for the North Stand and 250 for the Green. Well, all the advertisement that went out from the NCC mentioned nothing of a green. Right? As a matter of fact, they sent us all around the mulberry bush, tell us, well, why are they coming to us for the greens? You have to apply to the Ministry of Agriculture, only to be told by the Ministry of Agriculture that this entire savannah has been released to the NCC. And the same space that we have asked the NCC for to host the greens was given to the Army to have the effect, but they didn't tell them to go to the Ministry of Agriculture.
Their request for judicial review is scheduled for tomorrow before Justice Kokaram. CNews tried to reach the NCC, but up to news time, we received no reply. In other news now, police are trying to identify the body of a man washed ashore at Manzanilla Beach. CNews understands the body was found at around 7 a.m. Officers of the Manzanilla police station responded to a call that a body was lying on the sand at Calypso Road. And the body of a man washed ashore at Lambo Beach in Tobago this morning. It is believed to be that of Onisha Haynes. Haynes, a Scarborough fisherman, went missing at sea around 3 p.m. on Sunday off Rockley Vale. However, investigators are yet to make an identification of the body. 8 people are now homeless after a fire gutted their home. CNews understands fire officials rushed to a home at Hubert Van Street, Vistabella this morning after getting reports that a home was on fire. When they got there, a 3-bedroom wood and concrete structure was engulfed in flames. No one was at home when the fire started. To other news now, Member of Parliament for Barataria San Juan, Dr. Fuad Khan, is calling for the removal of the granting of the firearm permit, the firearm user's license, and the firearm user's employee's certificate from the Commissioner of Police to a newly established Commission on Firearms Control. He said as far back as 2013, there were over 500 appeals before the Firearms Appeals Board and many more thousands waiting on the Commissioner of Police to process applications for a firearm user's license without any word from the aforementioned. Dr. Khan said the new body should be mandated to respond to an application giving reasons for its decision within 3 months. He noted the Commissioner of Police may also be part of the commission. The MP said owning a firearm for self-defense is similar to having fire insurance or health insurance. He said a citizen does not really think his or her house will burn down, but it just might. You're watching the CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at CNews Live. By July, the judiciary should begin to roll out its criminal procedure rules as a way to deal with the backlog of inmates at the nation's prisons. Attorney at Law Martin George spoke on Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago and explained what this means.
As opposed to, just describing what the problems are. And one thing I can say is that the judiciary is due to roll out the new criminal procedure rules maybe by April. That's the timeline they're looking at. And in those rules, they are seeking to streamline the process in the criminal jurisdiction to ensure that, similar to what has happened in the civil jurisdiction under the Civil Proceedings Rules 1998, whereby you've seen a vast increase in the throughput of cases from filing to completion, you've seen a great reduction in the time frame.
Conversations have restarted about the possibility of this country moving towards the Caribbean Court of Justice and away from the Privy Council. Mr. George says he doesn't think that's a good idea at this time.
I'm not sure that if it is that I want to exercise jurisdiction over your judicial matters, that I should be out there basically canvassing and campaigning for you to accept me. That should be something that should be a natural progression, that you have recognized that, look, I represent such value to you that you want to join and want to be a part of my, jurisdiction.
Well, to other news now, all gas stations have resumed their operations following an incident on Tuesday where about 8 gas stations were supplied with gas containing water. President of the Petroleum Dealers Association, Rabindranath Narayan Singh, said while this is a concern, it raises a bigger question.
Who are the Ministry of Energy? They should be proactive in this situation, and they have not, come out to advise the public, tell the public anything. It is as though the Ministry of Energy is just. They don't bother about what is happening.
He said the Ministry of Energy has to take some of the responsibility for what took place, as it is in charge of the operations of the National Petroleum Company Limited.
No license was issued. The petroleum dealers have written our insurance to find out if a public liability claim some claim has to be made. Would the insurance industry recognize a claim like that since there's no license by the Ministry of Energy? The CS has far-reaching implications for how we do business.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the upgrades to the Maracas beach facility will cost $50 million and not $250 million as was presented when the rebuilding began. He was speaking during conversations with the Prime Minister in Maloney on Monday night.
Done the work on that situation. Maracas will have its car park. Maracas will have its huts for the vendors. Maracas will have its road improvement. Maracas will have its sewer treatment plant fixed for under $50 million.
The Prime Minister said there's no need to spend excessive money on the project, especially since the country can hardly afford medication in the hospitals.
In case you think I'm making a joke, we milled the road from Point Kumana to Tembladora, milled it and paved it for $8 million. In that Maracas project, the paving of the car park was done for $34 million. You understand what I'm telling you? That is what we are dealing with, and that is what we are trying to prevent, because somehow Trinidad and Tobago had gone berserk.
And in some related news, there is no movement in the construction industry, and this is detrimental not only for contractors, but for the country as a whole. Speaking with CNews, Mikey Joseph, president of the Contractors Association, in sounding this warning, says that disaster can be avoided.
We have a total stagnation of the industry, and what we're seeing is that there's no indication, there's no attempt by government to have dialogue with us and our members in order that we may forge a way forward, so that we can look at finding solutions, try to find innovative ways to get the economy going and get our industry going.
Mr. Joseph said working with banks as well as setting up international partnerships will go a long way to revitalizing this sector of the economy.
We could use measures that would allow the banks to become partners in the construction industry so that they can partner with contractors to deliver much needed infrastructure. But the monies that they have in warehousing there that they don't want to pay any interest on to people, where it could then probably generate more income and people might be able to receive interest, or the bank might be able to cut the charges that they're charging you now. We can also discuss whatever diplomatic efforts that might be needed in order to open doors for us in other areas.
He said that Latin America and Africa are areas that are fast growing and as such present situations ripe for this country's experienced contractors to make a name globally and pull revenue in from a global perspective. Mr. Joseph is also calling on the government to fulfill their promise as the lack of payment is destroying their livelihood.
In our claims for valid monies owed at the start of their term would have been like about $2.4 billion. That is certified money. But out of that, to date, they've probably paid about $500 million. So based on the valid claims, they haven't reached 25% of that as yet. And when the statutory bodies like WASA, TNTEC, and EMBD, government owes contractors must be about $4 or $5 billion.
Now for a look at the weather forecast.
On average, February is TNT's second driest month. Today, though, just look for patches of cloud and a blustery shower or two, remaining mainly light. But the winds will be the factor today, with flags rippling and palms swaying. It will feel pleasant, no higher than 32 degrees Celsius nationwide, with hazy conditions expected this evening as some Saharan dust pushes into the island chain. Meanwhile, the trade winds will strengthen, nearing 25 knots, bringing whitecaps, sea spray and rough waters up to 3 meters to the Caribbean and nearing 4 meters further out in the Atlantic with easterly swells of 10 seconds. Tide is high at 2 p.m., then low at 9 p.m. That is the latest weather, and I am Meteorologist Justine Wallace.
Government is seeking to decrease the number of years from 7 to 5 for a person to hold the position of procurement regulator. It also wants to ensure there is no automatic reappointment to the post. According to the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property Act 2015, the regulator is entrusted with day-to-day management, administration, direction and control of the business of the office with authority. Minister of Finance Colm Imbers, speaking in the Senate last evening, explained why government wants to make this change.
The term of office of the President is 5 years. The parliamentary term is 5 years. And we did not think that we should have someone holding this type of office transcending administrations.
The minister also proposed changes to the tenure of other members of the board from 6 years to 4, 5 years to 3, and 4 years to 3. Now, if this bill isn't passed, the compensation package for the procurement regulator cannot be put together. And if the regulator is not appointed, no public procurement can take place. Opposition Senator Wade Mark questioned the minister's reason for wanting to change the contract.
When we become the next government, what you are telling me, that the procurement regulator, he must go out, as we come in, he must go out. That don't make sense. We want continuity. We want institutional memory.
Well, before a vote was taken, the sit-in was adjourned to Tuesday, February 14, 2017 at 1:30 p.m. Marie Busby Earl Cadell was appointed Deputy Chief Magistrate effective January 13, 2017. A release from the Judiciary says she has been a magistrate for 22 years. She will now sit in chambers at the Magistrates Court in the District of St. George West, located on St. Vincent Street, Port of Spain. The Trinidad and Tobago Farmers Union has again raised the issue of food fraud taking place in this country. Its president, Shiraz Khan, this morning claimed imported meat finds itself in stores labeled as fresh meat, and this is not healthy for the population.
The worst thing about it is that is the solution, the chemicals that are being used to dip the meat into and then to sell it and make it look fresh and so on. That is the dangerous aspect of it. We understand that the chemical is very dangerous to the health of people.
Okay.
And you cannot be doing that to feed children more so in the school feeding program and children eating that and and adults because of the price.
However, he said there's no mechanism in place to verify this, since the Chemistry, Food and Drug Lab was not fully functional since 2014. As such, Mr. Khan is calling for operations there to be restarted.
You have a lab that was supposed to be the protector of the health of the country by testing these meat when they come in. Because you have the Ministry of Agriculture giving a permit and the Ministry of Trade giving a license. And who tested the meat? In fact, in Parliament, we learned that last year that lab has been shut down since 2014.
Minister of Health Terence Dayal says there is no shortage of chronic disease assistance program, CDAP, drugs in the country at this time. However, one drug, simvastatin, prescribed for lowering cholesterol, is running low and is being issued cautiously until the end of the month. His comments came following statements by the Pharmacy Board of Trinidad and Tobago that it's difficult to get certain drugs which are in high demand, mainly simvastatin and enalapril. Further news now, T&Tech Tropical Angel Harps has established themselves as one of the renowned and long-standing large steel band orchestras. Based in the somewhat depressed community of Enterprise, leader and arranger of the band, Clarence Morris, says despite the stigma of crime in the community, Tropical Angel Harps is one positive, which allows youth in the area an opportunity to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, the little crime stigma in Enterprise these days. So we are trying to do our bit in keeping the youths occupied with something that is discipline, that they have to think and work and spend time, you know, improving on their skill and their technique and so on. So it keeps them, you know, a little bit busy.
And we will have the full story tonight in the 7 p.m. newscast from Sherilyn Lewis. We now have Nasira Mohammed with the sports report. Tell us what's coming up in sports, Nasira.
Big news coming out of Jamaica in that Nesta Carter has been allowed to compete pending the results of the CAS inquiry and appeal that he has filed. Well, the legal team representing embattled Jamaican sprinter Nesta Carter is currently finalizing its submission to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to appeal the sprinter's disqualification from the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. And the 2017 Yuana Water Polo Cup was officially opened with a meet and greet for the participating teams at the Hazy Crawford Stadium. 4 teams are taking part in the tournament set for the National Aquatic Center in Couva. In the night, host Trinidad and Tobago comes up against Canada. President of the Amateur Swimming Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Wendell Lihing, welcomed the visiting teams while adding that Trinidad and Tobago wants to become a major hub for water sports in the region.
We do hope that in the coming future, Trinidad and Tobago will be recognized as one of the hubs for not just water polo, not just swimming, but the whole of aquatics because of our great facility that we do have at Couva.
Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Darrell Smith made no secret that this country is trying to build its sports tourism industry and encouraged the visiting teams to spread the word about our facilities.
Enjoy the tournament, have fun, enjoy Trinidad and Tobago. When you go back to your various leagues, I know a number of you all are playing in the European circuit and so on. Let your clubs know, let your teams know that they could come here and utilize it. Make contact with the sport company and the ministry that you could come here and utilize our facilities to practice and further tournaments as well.
Well, that was the sport for today.
Well, that brings us to the end of the CNews Report at noon. I'm Karen Kozia-Philip.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed.
Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the CNews website at ctvtt.com. Do have a good afternoon.